So for the next row, you will need 29 gold beads, and just let them fall down. What we're doing is we're repeating the last row, except for instead of the middle bead being green, we're keeping it gold to keep with the alternating of the green beads. So here are mine, and just go to your next point, which is this green one. So just do this all the way around. So I finished my last point, and I went up through the middle bead and stepped up and came out through the middle point of the first star tip that we had done that row. Okay, so now for the next row, we're going to repeat what we did before. We're going to have 14 gold, 1 green, 14 gold. And just like we've been doing, you're going to go to the next star tip and you're going to go through the middle point, which we had 29 beads, so you're going to go through number 15. Just pull through like that. Okay, so just repeat this all the way around. So I have my last set of beads here. I'm just going to finish off the row by going to my next point and going through the middle like we did all the previous rows. Okay, now if you need to, you can add more thread, but if you notice in the beginning we were increasing each row, and so it's spread out. Now if you notice, the last couple rows are kind of sitting on top of each other. That's because if you look at this one, we were building out to the width of the ornament, and now we're building down the length of the ornament. And now what we're going to actually start to do is to decrease, and then this will close off the ornament. So now just step up like we did all the previous rows and come out the middle bead of your first point. Just like that. Okay, and now we're ready for the next row. The last 3 rows that we did were groups of 29. This one was 29, this one was 29, and then this one was 29 beads. So these last 3 rows that had 29 beads are these ones here. So this is 29, this is 29, and this is 29. So if you get down to the bottom and your ornament's not big enough, just increase this, because whatever you do to this one you'll have to do to these ones just to keep them even. So even if you increased by 1 bead to each side, that 29 would become 31. But just by adding 1 single bead here, here, and here can make a big difference. If your ornament is too big, I recommend decreasing by 1 on either side. So instead of 29, do 27. Okay, so I've slid my cover onto my green ornament, and if you look, mine comes down to the bottom, and all I did was threaded my needle around in the green middle beads, and I've pulled on it just to see, just for testing, just to see where my ornament comes down. And my ornament actually comes down quite far. Now if you look at this one, these green points are these red points. So even though these 2 ornaments are both the same brand, for some reason this one is bigger than this one. Okay, mine comes down really far. It shouldn't come down this far even though they're the same. If yours is like this one, this red one, and your hole down here is about that big, then you need to add a row of 17 gold beads and just go through each middle point just like we did for all these previous rows, but you're going to do a row of 17 gold beads. But because mine actually comes down quite far, I'm going to skip that And I'm just going to do this inner part, which is 11 gold beads. Okay, so to do my next row, I'm just going to undo this because I only did this just to see how it was going to lay. Just pull out my thread. Okay. Okay. There we go. Okay. So now I've taken it back off. When it's loose like that, I find it hard to work with it on the ornament. Okay, so remember what I said. If your ornament is shorter than mine did, remember you want to do 17 gold beads, but because mine falls closer to the bottom, I'm going to shorten my pattern. I'm going to drop that row of 17 and I'm just going to go straight to the row of 11 gold beads. Okay, but if yours was shorter, then you want to do a row of 17 and then do a row of 11. But I'm going to skip the row of 17. So there we go. And then just go to your next point, just like we've done before, which would be the green bead here. Okay? Now because we're closing, it's gonna turn in on itself, like, okay? So just go all the way around with your gold beads between each of the green bead. And then just before you get back to the beginning, you're going to slip it on or the opening gets too small. Okay, I know it looks like a mess. Before this opening gets any smaller, what we're going to do is we're just going to grab our ornament and put it in. Now you want to find your hole where you started. There we go. Just make sure it's on there. Okay. And then just pull any loose threads that may have happened. Okay, just make sure everything's nice and snug. Okay. Now from this point on, we're going to work on the ornament. Okay, so I'm going to continue working with my 11 gold beads. So I've got my next set, and I'm just going to go to my next point and go through the middle bead. There we go. Now I just needed to add more thread, so that's what I've done there. So now I have my last set of 11 gold beads. I'm going to go to the next point just to finish off the row. Just that one middle bead. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to go up this point and come out the middle. So now I did 11, so I'm going to come out of bead number 6. So find number 6 and come out. So for this last one, you're going to need 3 gold beads. Okay, just let it fall down. So there are my 3 beads here. Now we're going to finish it just like we did every other row. We're going to go to the next point and we're going to find the middle bead. Okay, so find that middle bead. Okay. Now do this all the way around until you get back to the beginning. I got my last 3 gold beads. Now what I'm going to do is, now that we're back to the beginning, and this is that right here is that middle bead where we started, I'm going to come through that middle bead of this V point. There we go. And if I pull, there you go, your circle's complete. Now if you were to let go of your thread, see how it relaxes and there's all these gaps? What you're going to do, you're going to hold your ornament and you're going to hold your work nice and tight. I'm just going to move the thread out of the way. I'm just going to hold it against the ornament. Okay, so So see how our thread is coming out of this middle bead here? We're going to go to this next one. And we're basically going to go in a circle through the 3 beads we just added, plus that middle bead, and pull. Okay? And make sure your work stays nice and snug. And then you're going to go to the next one, go through those 3 beads, plus the middle bead. Okay? Just pull snug. Okay? So just continue around in a circle and go around 2 or 3 times. Basically what you want to do is you want to keep going, and you know you've done it enough times when you can let go and nothing happens. Okay? If your work stays nice and tight and it doesn't budge, then you know you've gone around enough times. Okay, so now to tie it off, I'm just going to hold the thread out of the way here. If you look, see how we're coming out this middle bead here, this one right here, and then there's this first bead in this section of 3 and this first bead in this line here. We're coming out in the middle. What you're going to do is you're going to go behind this. I'm not in the beads, I'm just behind the work. See how my needle can move? So just go in behind and come out the middle circle and just pull your thread. Now you don't want to pull your thread all the way, you want to stop. Then you're going to take your needle and you're going to go through the loop. Okay, and you're going to pull and make like a slip knot. But what you want to do is see how the thread is on the left of the bead. You want to make sure your knot stays on the left. So make sure it's in between those beads and then pull. Okay, and if you've done it right, your knot will hide between those 3 beads. If you've done it wrong and it's slipped over to the right, then you'll see your thread. The knot will be tied around this middle bead and it'll be visible. If your thread is coming out on the right, then tie your knot on the right. But because mine's on the left, I'm tying mine on the left. So I'm just going to do that a couple more times, making sure that it stays. Whoop. There you go. Now after you do that a couple times, what you're going to do is, doesn't matter which direction you go in, just follow your work, and you're just going to thread your needle back up through your work, following your beads. Doesn't matter where, just thread it through. Okay. Now, if you want, you can tie a couple more knots as you go, just to make it really secure. I'm just going to go up this V. There we go. Just work it in until you have your tails well hidden and it's not going anywhere. Trim your excess. Put your top back on. And there you go. A beaded ornament. Now here's the difference between these. Pretty much look the same. The only difference is this V is missing. Other than that, they're pretty much the same.